All right, welcome into the Ryan Ripken Show. The seat was still warm, Zach. I appreciate you filling in, by the way.
It's what I do. It's what I do. It feels good to be back in my cushiony seat, I will say.
Well, everyone, hey, welcome back to the Ryan Ripken Show, episode 58. I am back in the building, but only temporarily here. And then we're going to have Zach and Kevin doing this all over again, unfortunately. And there's Kevin Ostreicher.
Locked on.
And unfortunately, actually, it's the guys. Brad's consecutive streak, actually, of shows attended ends. Not because of his fault, though. We had to change it because I'm the problem. We understand this. I had to change the time because of what is coming up next. But for anyone, if you're tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from. I know everyone's excited about spring training. A lot's been happening. I got to tell you guys, confession, I don't know what time zone I am in. I'm disoriented. I just got back from the West Coast, took a red-eye flight. Have you guys taken red-eye flights yet, by the way?
No,
Nope.
I don't think I ever.
Never.
No, never from the West Coast. No.
Okay, have you taken any?
No, that's what I'm saying. Well, I'm also adding in, like I was trying to think of times I would have, but no. We're just staring. Anything, Kevin? You got?
I said I didn't go. I didn't put the West Coast in there. I didn't put that in there.
So anyway, arrived this morning, back down at 6:55, and I got to be right back on a plane. Unfortunately, with the other member that's not here, we know who's not here also, Rocco DeSangro. And if you guys didn't notice, some things came out recently or on the Rip and Rock podcast that Rocco and I do here in Baltimore. The reason why I'm not going to be here on Thursday, Rocco and I are going down to spring training, fellas. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Cannot wait. Hey, thank you.
That'll be fun. You know what? I'll give it to them. That'll be great content down there.
Oh, my goodness. I cannot wait. I know the boys are buzzing. They're having a great time, and Rocco and I are going to be there from Tuesday to Thursday. And you make sure you follow the Rip and Rock podcast. I'll blast it everywhere. We got a lot to talk about, though. There's 2 games today. There were some other spicy topics, including Cam Newton was jumped by 6 guys, and he's a unit that still couldn't go down. Still can't get tackled.
No.
But still can't find an NFL job. That's a whole different subject.
Yeah.
A big free agent just signed. One of the Boris guys will talk about what that entails. And obviously, if you guys have any Orioles questions, please let us know. That's what we are here for. But first, let's talk about the spiciest of spicy conversations here, guys. Yeah. For me personally, and our friend Jason Benowitz, friend of the program, by the way.
Jason, great guy. 10 out of 10 guy. I'll say it and be actually heard this time because I know Rocco called Jason a great guy while we were having our argument back and forth about the office and no one heard. But yeah, great guy.
Great guy. And him and the Baltimore Battery have a tremendous giveaway that's going on here. And actually, we're going to play the video that is on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it right now. But we want to play it for you so you guys don't miss out on the opportunity that Jason has in store for it. So I'm going to play the video right now, Zach. Well, there it is, by the way. So for those of you that weren't reading it, and actually, because we have this on podcast platforms, so you actually cannot read this, that was Jason's giveaway for opening day, by the way. And hey, Jason, we appreciate you. Oh, I was trying to put it up there, Zach.
We just both raced to put Jason out there. We got too excited.
Yeah, we did. But Jason, we appreciate you. And this is such a great giveaway. We're going to have so many things collaborating for this season. And Jason kicking this off for 2024. And just for everyone to follow, it's 2 tickets for opening day
to paradise,
which in some cases, and most people are going to say it's at Camden Yards on opening day. So how to enter? You follow at Ryan Ripken. You follow the Be More Battery. You follow Jason at Jason. Is it what's Jason's
at Jason
handle?
Benowitz, I believe. Or here, let me make sure.
I don't think it's Jay.
Yeah. Well, now we're gonna look it up. Make sure we have this exactly right.
Well, then we know you're gonna follow that.
Jay Benowitz 1831.
Yep.
And don't you forget those numbers. And while you're at it, you should just follow Kevin too. If you locked on Ravens, by the way, on a side note. But follow all of that. Like and repost Jason's video and all of that. And that's it.
Yeah. Then may the most random person win.
Luck of the draw. My favorite part of that video was that it was like the Ryan Ripken Show logo and then just Zach's face just engulfs the frame. Favorite part.
People need to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. But you know what I also love? That he got the view of it. It's a beautiful view, and it looks
fantastic view.
Can you guys believe that spring training is underway and that opening day right now is almost a month away right now? And Jason, like we were saying before, plenty more giveaways coming. So keep following what's going on social media, and I think everyone in Birdland is ecstatic about what this 2024 season is going to look like. Right?
I would say so. Seems like everywhere you go, there's just hype about the team.
Oh yeah.
A lot of hype and a lot of good reasons. A lot of good things going down there. Can't wait to see it in person, but we will have more on that as we move forward. But guys, why don't we just get our spicy topics going here, and then we're going to dive into baseball for the rest of the show. And if you're new to the show here, it's the Ryan Ripken Show. We do this Mondays and Thursdays live on YouTube, and we're going to have a lot more content as we go throughout the year. Specifically, we are Baltimore-based, so we are going to get to our Baltimore sports. But we got to talk about some of the shit that's going on out there. Like, how about Cam Newton getting in a fight that I still don't understand? Can someone give me a little bit more context? Because maybe I was just out.
It was at a 7-on-7 tournament.
Was it youth football or was it just 7-on-7?
I'm not sure.
It was an event. It was a youth event.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a youth event, and then all hell broke loose.
It was was it some of the players from the other team or coaches from the other team?
I think it was actually coaches.
Yeah,
at least the main guy that's being seen.
Because one made a video.
Yeah, the guy who made a video, he's a coach.
Yeah.
He's a coach. He was the one, and actually he was the one who was ragdolled by his dreads the entire time. And he took a video prior to the fight, calling out Cam Newton, saying he's like not that good, like he could be better, all this stuff. And then he tries to jump Cam Newton and it's embarrassing. He did go private on all social medias after. I don't know why you post that after they're like, there's no reason to post the video of you before you kind of lost the jumping, 6-on-1 jumping. Like, I guess let's just show the video of
why don't we roll the clip, Zach?
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so it got cleared pretty quickly, but definitely you see when you first start, Cam definitely it's weird. I don't think Cam Newton was the one who originally got involved. It looks like Cam's actually starting to break up a fight at first, and then that's why he's in the middle holding two people away, and then a third guy comes up and tries to sneak Cam with a punch. One, Cam not only did Cam not flinch, his hat did not move,
did not fall off
millimeter when he got punched and was dragging people. Hat stayed on, which was incredible.
Yeah, that might have been the most shocking thing of the whole thing. Or, by the way, Kevin, that it's 6 guys. You think when Cam's playing in the NFL, one guy could bring him down. These are some of the best athletes in the world, but 6 grown men couldn't bring Cam Newton to the ground. But by the way, he is a physical beast still. The guy's still working out.
Yeah, I think we have to remember who Cam Newton is and obviously was on the football field when he played. I mean, this was one of the most physical quarterbacks in terms of running the football that we've seen. So again, he's going up against 300-pound D tackles and these super physical linebackers who were just jacked out of their minds. These guys were not of that stature. So I don't want to say it was light work for him, but he made it look like it was light work.
I think RG3 put it perfectly in a tweet. He's like, Cam was used to doing this, especially with how just horrendous his offensive line was his whole career. Cam was used to dodging 6 guys at one time, but that were, like you said, 300-pound athletes.
And he loved it.
And that's what he did, and he got out of it. So, I don't think it was the brightest idea to think all those 150-pound dudes were going to impact Cam Newton, even 6-on-1.
Well, it's almost like it's like little kids trying to bring down the dad. If you're bring down the dad, and then it's not being moved. I don't know why I'm thinking of Shrek. By the way, it's like just
no.
Shrek,
it's actually exactly that scene. I know exactly what scene you're talking about.
Grabbing the knights by the face and just throwing them away.
But that's what it was. Besides him just throwing them throughout the forest or wherever the hell they were. But that's what it was. It's like Shrek wasn't phased. Cam Newton wasn't phased. Unfortunately, though, he still is not being able to find an NFL job anymore as being a quarterback. That window might have closed. Obviously, he's had a lot of attention with his 4th and 1 podcast with all the game manager conversations. But I think the thing I hate the most about this kids event, you're trying it's for the kids. And you can, however you want to think about Cam Newton, are you really trying to pick something with him at something that is not to do with him? I know it's his event.
Yeah.
But come on, guys.
I think someone put it pretty well. It was like, this isn't a kid's problem. This is a coaching problem, because it was majority coaches that looks like we're fighting. And that's what's crazy, is these guys are supposed to be helping the youth and going out and be these role models. I think he actually, the one guy in his Instagram bio, the guy who posted the video, he's like youth, like mentor and stuff like this. And then he's trying to jump Cam Newton at a 7v7 tournament. And it's like, that doesn't, he shouldn't be allowed to coach ever again. I mean, that's something where suddenly find a different career path. He's actually a pretty well-known coach. I think he has close to 30,000 followers on Instagram. And like, I think he thought people were going to take his side. Like, yeah, you showed Cam, and then he had to like delete his account because so many people were like, you're a disgrace to coaching and stuff, which when you jump Cam Newton 6v1 at a youth 7v7 tournament, it's definitely not a great look.
Doesn't it feel like Cam Newton gets disrespected? Like
more than anyone.
Something happens at the camp, specifically the camps. I don't care about what he talks about on his podcast and his show. That's a whole different thing. But like at specifically camps, like these kids are disrespecting Cam.
Yeah.
These adults are disrespected. It's like, all right, come on, come on, guys. But hey, let's go to a little bit of a lighter note, Kevin. This is actually positive. This is spicy, at least for Ravens fans. I guess any fan that loves their football team and has more cap space, because the salary cap, Kevin, am I not mistaken? The NFL just announced that the salary cap will be boosted almost $30 million. So why don't we start with you with this? What the hell does that mean for the Baltimore Ravens in this situation?
Yeah, it's a good thing. The Ravens were up against it cap-wise, and this is before they've made any moves. So before this increase, based off of projections, so some people were working with maybe they thought it was going to be $240 million, $245 million. Comes in this year at $255.4, right around there, $1 million, which is an increase, you mentioned, Ryan, of $30 million from what it was last year. Now, it's for a couple of reasons. First of all, some of the COVID money that was lost back in 2020, that's coming back into the cap and back into the NFL's pocket, so they're able to increase the cap. But the NFL's been killing it with media deals recently, with advertising deals. I mean, we're getting a lot of that money. So I think for me, if you're talking about the Ravens, they now have $12 million in cap space before these restructures, which is big for them. Now, we do have to remember, we talked about it last week, they did still have that $8 million dead cap from the Kevin Zeitler non-extensions, Gus Edwards, etc. But now you can maybe soften the blow of franchise tagging and Justin Madubuike. Does that mean Derrick Henry can come back? Or maybe it just means they can maybe they were going to let Ronald Darby walk or Jadeveon Clowney walk because they weren't going to be able to fit them under their plans. But now you're able to bring back one or two more of these free agents that could help your team out and prove that they could be on the team and make an impact in a Ravens uniform.
Yeah, so. You know what, Zach, then? I think it's simple here. And then I think we might be on the same wavelength here. Let's see if I'm doing this. What I'm hearing is we're going to let EDC cook.
Yeah.
And see.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to cook. Now. I will say, I'll give into the conspiracy theory, though. Each team got about $10 million more in cap than projected. And that's about $340 million that was added, which is very surprisingly close to the numbers reported that Taylor Swift brought into the NFL. So did the entire league just get the Taylor Swift
bump?
Yeah.
Did Taylor Swift just help every NFL team out there? Your favorite NFL team you should be going on tour and thanking Taylor personally.
Which is it is funny. I don't know if that's actually what happened, but people were breaking down the numbers and they're like, this is very suspiciously close to the exact range that Taylor Swift is reported to have brought into the company. So it's crazy.
No one believes in conspiracy theories, right?
Never.
Never. Especially everyone that was talking about that the Kansas City Chiefs were just going to win the Super Bowl because Taylor Swift was going to be there.
Yeah, who knew? The NFL, I bet people will use this as, and then the NFL gave every team $10 million to pay them off.
Is there going to be like a 30 for 30 on this?
What
if I told you? What if I told you?
It'll come out in like 15 years after the dust is settled, but there's going to be they'll make something out of it.
The NFL is going to be like, they're going to send out a memo to their players, be like, hey, if you know this celebrity and you're interested, like, hey, make sure they get onto our airwaves so we can give your team more money and you can make more money. It's just this whole thing.
OBJ and
Kim Kardashian.
Which still to this, he announced that they decided to make it more public after the AFC Championship, like the week after. And I was like, we spent all week looking for star power to match up with Taylor Swift, and at no point did he say, I have a Kardashian if we want to bring. No, he waited till
that would have sparked the curse rumors.
And it looks like we're here anyway.
Well, Kevin, you see what happens? We're here. But before we get into more baseball, if you're just tuning in here, welcome back with the Ryan Ripken Show. Hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to be talking more Orioles here. If you have any questions, please let us know so we can talk about that. That is upcoming here with spring training. A lot's going on in spring training. And let me know about your taking a red-eye flight experience. Mine was not the best. Just got back from one from the West Coast, and now I have to sit next to Rocco on a flight tomorrow morning. Who's the lucky guy? I am, but we're both going to spring training. We're going to be covering a lot of the Orioles, so please follow us so you can get all the content daily. We're going to be down there for 3 days having a time. But Kevin, I mean, we talked a little bit, and obviously you mentioned Derrick Henry here. I mean, the fantasies now, and I need to stop this. I need to stop fantasizing.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Well, and I will say I do love Fantasy by Mariah Carey, but that's a whole different subject. But I want to think more and more that Saquon Barkley, the running backs in general, like the franchise tags, it seems like it's not going to be a thing.
No.
Right? It feels like not going to exist. So hear me out. If the Ravens don't draft Blake Corum and he goes to the Chargers because the Hardballs are going to fight over Blake Corum. Also, St. Francis Academy guy, by the way. Local guy with that, or went to school there. Then with Saquon Barkley, I'm just saying, let a guy dream. Is it more realistic?
That's who I would prefer over Derrick Henry, just because of he's so much. There's so much more to his game, and I feel like he is someone that you can have play all three downs. Whereas Derrick Henry, not necessarily the greatest passing back, that's out there. I think you really can add so many more dimensions to your offense with the Saquon Barkley rather than a Derrick Henry. But everyone's going to bring up every scenario. I mean, you said, the second the cap went up, it was like, why don't we get both?
Yeah, which is not happening. But I do think that and we've seen he's not the same type of both guys are different pass catchers, but we've seen Henry take those screens and rip them off for touchdowns. But I still think that Barkley or Jacobs, those are guys looking for their first real NFL payday. Yeah. So I think that they're less inclined to maybe take a team-friendly deal where was it Jeremy Fowler that said that if the Ravens were in the market for a running back, but if it exceeded $10 million, they wouldn't be. It was some report out there. Might have been him, might have been someone else, but that makes sense to me. And I think right now Derrick Henry is projected right around 2 years, $20 million with 13 guaranteed. The main focus for Derrick Henry, I think, as opposed to maybe a Barkley or a Jacobs, I think he is more, hey, I want to win a Super Bowl. I know that I'm not getting any younger. He's had a lot of carries. And I think if you put him in an offense with Justice Hill, and maybe you add a mid-round running back, and then Keaton comes back, I think it's perfect for him, because I think Barkley and Jacobs are going to cost more. Not that I don't think Barkley would be a good fit, because I do. Yeah. But for them looking, because there's been this whole thing about the position is devalued, they're not getting paid fairly, and it was almost like this started off, I call it like the Mark Ingram thing, where once he hit a certain age, I mean, Ingram was awesome for them that first year in 2019. But then he fell off a cliff, and everyone's like, okay, well, look, it was one good year, but he hit that age threshold. Henry's over that age threshold, by the way, but he's still an incredible player. Well, but I think you can get Henry for cheaper than you can a Barkley or Jacobs.
I would agree like that. And obviously he's still working out like you do, Kevin. So
100%.
And if you guys haven't seen the workouts, they are electric.
Crazy.
Yeah. But Derrick Henry, I'm with you. Like, it's definitely that age thing, and people are going to have to look at it. And obviously, if can we agree with this then? Also, the Ravens have done such a great job of bringing in talent and finding different holes there. And the running back is, unfortunately, it's a devalued position. It's nice. It'd be sexy. We'd be excited. I'd have a tequila shot right now if it was the case. But we're not doing that. Oh, Lord knows we're not doing that right now. But the priority, though, if there's one guy, we need Matabike back. And I'm going to get my Dr. Evil out here. And if he wants $100 billion, then you give it to him.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the guy, no matter what, I would want as the fantasy of Saquon Barkley gets too high, or Derrick Henry. Matabike to me just looks like a guy that you just cannot let leave.
And that is the scenario that will free up the Ravens' money, because we know if they can't agree to an extension, you have to franchise tag him. You have to do it. But with that franchise tag, the official number came in at right about $22.1 million. That's a 1-year fully guaranteed deal. That's $22.1 million against this year's cap. How you free up that money is much like with Lamar Jackson. You sign him to an extension, you make it a backloaded deal, and you can have that first year base salary be around, $1 or $2 million. Put a lot of that extra money into signing bonuses. Have the first couple of years be a super low cap hit, and then have that deal backloaded. So year 3, year 4, if it's a 5-year deal, year 5, those are your big money hits. That's the way you maximize it, because if you don't and you have them play on the franchise tag, that $22.1 million is all on the cap for this year, and it hinders your ability to go out there and maybe sign a guy.
Yeah. I think that's exactly the thing is I think no matter what, even with the salary cap increase, priority number 1 is Justin Madubuike.
Yep.
Because it's insane the pressure he generates at a position that is not necessarily known for generating pressure, and it makes what he does that much more valuable. We see guys like very few guys that can actually do it, and every single one of them gets paid. The Chris Joneses, the Aaron Donalds. If you can generate pressure from the defensive tackle position, you are going to get paid. So, like you said, the way to do it is to give him his money long term and say, okay, here's how we are going to have it line up numbers wise so that we can get our best team out there while also getting you paid.
And you know what? You mentioned Chris Jones. How about the other guy that's been the dominant, best player in the NFL for a while, but then I guess he had a down year. Aaron Donald, literally being everyone's talked about.
And Madubuike trains with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, there's the comparison, but Aaron Donald, what do you make that? He had the pressure on the last play in the Super Bowl when they played the Bengals. That was him wreaking havoc. Chris Jones, we've seen what he's done.
Chris Jones in the Super Bowl. Was it Super Bowl? Yeah.
Well, they didn't block him.
Yeah.
On the last
but it talks. It's
busted
that.
play.
Yeah. That was.
The prophecy is right there for the taking. Just got to bring him back.
So $100 billion for Justin Madubuike. Whatever he wants, bring him back. But we trust in EDC. It's all going to work out. And if you guys are just tuning in, thank you for tuning in to the Ryan Ripken Show Mondays and Thursdays. I see Don. I guess. Hey, Ryan, don't call me. Yeah, I get called a lot of names for Cal's kid. What I've been called Cal Ripken Jr. I've been called Little Cal. Baby Cal. Baby Cal kind of
baby Cal's right. Baby
yeah.
Cal. Yeah. It's like baby cow, but baby Cal. I don't like it.
Yeah, I really don't like it either. But we appreciate you guys and seeing people that show up. I see that Alex wants you to make a unrealistic trade idea moving forward, Zach. So maybe that would be sure.
Yeah,
Juan Soto. Maybe a preview of what's to come a little later here today.
Oh, we could. Is he getting traded again?
Ooh, little across the over to the Orioles. Yeah. That would make
cross division trade.
Well, we'll see. I don't think he's going anywhere soon. But actually, guys, Kevin, thank you for bringing that up, by the way. And if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe. But I do breakdowns so far of Oriole players. So please let me know who you guys would like to see next. We're going to talk about some Orioles here in a few moments. But one player, I like this segment that we're going to have in the future for breaking down players. It's called Know Your Foe. I think we should get to know who the Orioles are going to be facing on a consistent basis. And we're going to start with newly acquired New York Yankee, Juan Soto. Former teammate of mine in the minors, Juan is he is
the chosen Juan.
Good one.
Yeah, actually was pretty good. But he is so damn good, and I'm actually going to break that down. And these Orioles-Yankees series, just if you like baseball, healthy teams for the most part, it's going to be dynamite, and I want to be at every single game. I think that the O's-Yankees rivalry is going to be back in a way that we haven't seen in a very long time. That will be later in the show. But actually, why don't we now then take our Adams Jeep as we head down to spring training, and let's get into Kevin.
Every single time.
I need more torque on the wrists, honestly.
I don't think that's the word we want to use. You need more torque on your wrists. That's all right. But anyway, our friends at Adams Jeep of Maryland here.
It's like maracas every time.
We're going to make a compilation one day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's up there. So anyway, that was Kevin's attempt to drive Adams Jeep. But Adams Jeep of Maryland, it's located up in Aberdeen, and their beautiful sign is right behind. Zach's getting it down. You need a new car. You need parts. You need service. Service is 11 out of 10. I love those guys. We have a lot more upcoming with them as we move into this baseball season. They are my go-to guys by far. Adam Cheap of Maryland up in Aberdeen. But guys, let's take this drive down to spring training. And before we dive into the Orioles, because it kind of is going to talk about the Orioles because everyone wants to fantasize. We just fantasized about what could happen in Baltimore with the Ravens. How about the fact of what could happen? Is there a chance the Orioles could sign any more free agents? Well, I'm not really a believer of anyone in the Scott Boras camp, but one domino did fall. Cody Bellinger just re-signed with the Chicago Cubs, but guys, it was not the deal, Zach, that they were hoping. It's not a bad deal for Cody Bellinger at all, but why don't you explain a little bit about what just transpired?
Yeah, so Cody Bellinger goes back to Chicago on a 3-year, $80 million. I believe there's an opt-out after each year. So that's become the big thing in baseball, is a massive deal and then a bunch of opt-outs at certain times. But yeah, the money-wise, meaning per year, I think is what they were looking for, maybe slightly less. But Cody Bellinger was someone that people thought, especially his camp, that he was getting $200 million this offseason. He was in that range of who's giving Cody Bellinger the 8-year deal, who's going to give him 10 years. Do you give Cody Bellinger 10 years after just one good season, kind of back on, looking like Cody Bellinger? 3 years, 80, I think is a great deal for both. And I think it's a good spot for him to be in going back to Chicago. I think they really liked him. I think it's just getting back to familiarity. But yeah, I would say that it does kind of suck for him that you thought you were getting $200 million. And now we're seeing Blake Snell, another guy in that situation where he was someone that he wants $250, $300 million over 10 years. Do these guys now start settling for these short-term contracts?
Well, and so, it's interesting, and this is why we're talking about it, because when people are looking at it, well, wait a minute, why aren't it's the Orioles liftoff? They traded for Corbin Burns, realizing that they had a year of team control, and then they're going to deal with whatever's going to happen in the future, right?
Scott Boras.
And hopefully it's going to be in Baltimore. But the point is, this is the dilemma that we're seeing more and more in Major League Baseball. Guys are holding off later, but teams don't want to wait that long. Now, a team will get desperate, and some teams will make a deal or go out and get a guy. But you look at a guy like Cody Bellinger, who MVP out in the National League, then he had that giant fall off, and then it just made sense for him to go back to the Cubs no matter what, because you finally felt like he was comfortable playing there, and he was back to that caliber of player that you saw earlier in his career with the Dodgers. But then, guys, I mean, Jordan Montgomery, Kevin, you're saying, talked with the Red Sox. Blake Snell, they were talking about the Yankees, or good meeting.
Good meeting.
But here's the thing. I think what we're just telling you all, the Orioles, the price range, this is too high for any of the Scott Boras guys, Kevin.
Yeah. I feel like at this point, maybe something crazy happens, but I feel like the Orioles are pretty set in what they have right now. And we're seeing a lot of guys step up, and we're going to talk about it over the course of today and the next couple of weeks here as we move into it. But I think the Orioles are in a fine spot, even if you talk about the injuries that they've suffered over the first couple of weeks of spring training here. It's exciting. And back to Bellinger, I think it's a good deal for him too, because you have the opt-out over the first 2 seasons. And I think this gives him an opportunity where if he just goes and crushes it again this year in Chicago, he can opt out and look for a longer term, bigger deal where maybe a team is more inclined to give him 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 years, because you've now seen 2 years here. He'll be 28 this year. He'll be 29 before the start of next year. So there's still time. He still has a long career ahead of him if he proves the longevity that, he's really back. It wasn't just a 1-year flash in the pan.
Yeah, and just real quick, what I just said with good meeting is Red Sox fans are fed up with all ownership and general managers and stuff about their lack of moves and kind of selling. So this is trending after the Jordan Montgomery. They said hang the banner. So they are. Red Sox fans are not necessarily happy with how the offseason is gone. So they're hanging banners for good meetings.
Hey, a friend of the show here, Kyle Corwin and Nate Reyes, they do the podcast, the 3-0 Take. But Kyle is a Red Sox fan. He does have a soft side for the Orioles, but you want to get a guy going? Kyle is hurting. And you know who also isn't liking what the Red Sox are doing? Rafael Devers. How about that first day?
Not good.
With the translator there. Imagine being the translator and having to translate that Devers is going, we know this ownership does not care about the team winning right now. Yeah. And you have to translate it. That's your job. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. But it is a situation. But if the Red Sox are going and imploring there, yes, they haven't made a big move. But what we're looking at is we're getting into it now, guys. We are a month away And this is really unheard of what we have seen in the past. And we're kind of seeing this shift with GMs go, we're not going to play this game. We're not going to play the bullshit.
Yeah.
We're going to meet in the middle here, or we're going to move on because we don't think that is worth our time.
And I don't want to quote anyone, but I believe it was either baseball, it was on some sort of ESPN or MLB TV, and they were talking about whether or not it would be, I guess there are talks of, is there a deadline for implementing some sort of soft deadline for players have to be signed by in the MLB? Because we are starting to see this kind of, especially with Scott Boras. He wants the best deal for his players. He promises them the best deal, and he's okay, him personally, with waiting until these guys are getting the best deal. So we now look, and let's say Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery sign next week. That's 2 weeks of spring training that they've missed, that they didn't get time to work with the catchers. They aren't with the pitching coaches. They're missing stuff where then suddenly it's mid-May and they're just getting to form, because it's like, okay, well, you're finally getting past those little bumps that you have at the beginning where they could have been having this dealt with. So it's for both the players and the coaches and the teams. This is a disadvantage to everyone who wants to hit the ground running as soon as game one hits and be like, okay, this is what we're doing. They don't want to deal with, well, we just signed him 2 weeks ago. He was supposed to be our ace, but he's not ready for opening day because it took so long.
And I will say this too, like nowadays, everyone, that's all they're doing is working out and being ready. But you can see, you're trying to go to a different atmosphere, environment, get used to everything, and you don't know what's going to happen. And also, if you're a new pitcher going to a new team, kind of that camaraderie and feeling how it to fit in. And one name I'm going to watch on the Yankees, we talked about them earlier, Carlos Rodon last year being hurt to start, was set back from the beginning. And that's hard. And take out the fact that you're playing in New York, the pressure's on, you don't feel yourself. But you know what he did this year? Got to spring training early. And I actually do think he's going to have a great year for the Yankees, and they need him to. But it's just going to be fascinating to see. But again, Orioles fans, don't hold your breath here. And while we're talking about the Orioles, then we're going to dive into the games here. Before we do, I saw a comment here. I wanted to mention it earlier because we were talking about taking a red-eye flight. And I wanted to just circle back to that. And Reese, I think you had the point here. Did I just miss it? Where did it go?
No, it's up here. You want me to, this one?
Yeah, there it is. Red-eye flights are the worst. Had one last year, and it was awful. You know what? I actually feel okay, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you sleep at all this morning?
Absolutely not. I went to go get my pup, Ollie. Good boy Ollie. And then I came back, got a little food, and then the demons that were sweated out in the gym were wow.
That red-eye flight, those demons after the red-eye flight sound awful.
Oh, they were. You know what? I'll hold my thoughts, but I want to hear anyone else's experiences of it. I'm cool with it. I mean, I've been on bus trips all the time where we were getting in at 9 in the morning, 8 in the morning. So it kind of felt like that. But I also was like, that was a few years ago, and if we're a little bit younger, it's not like I'm 24 again, Zach, but
oh my God. We should do that. We all bus around like we were in the minors for one. We could do that.
You know what? I think next year, if it works out, we get a van or like a big Winnebago or something, and we do a trip down to spring training.
Yeah, that'd be lit. We're so doing that.
Like
someone
10 p.m. departure time.
Yeah,
we'll do it that way.
So it'll be kind of like we're on tour. Mm-hmm. So we'll have a driver, but then we're gonna act. I want you guys to experience what a minor league grinder situation actually was. Until you actually have your knees.
We could vlog that. We could vlog that.
No, without a doubt, it's getting vlogged. I'll have we'll do that. That'll be electric.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and also, and I appreciate you guys starting to ask some questions here. I saw one about a robo arm for Batista. Have you seen how massive of an arm that is? That might cost more than any player that the Orioles might sign if they tried to do that. But Batista obviously won't be ready for this season. Everyone else just looking at hello. Khan, I'm glad you could join for today.
Yeah, we were talking about this right before. Actually, we'll wait for a little bit more film of his new pitches to come out, and then Ryan's gonna hop in for a little Cole Irvin breakdown once we get some more stuff, so we can give the full breakdown of what's different with his pitches so far this year.
I agree, and that's one that I really want to dive into because Cole Irvin I listened to his recent breakdown of how he was explaining his fastballs, which are really fascinating. If you guys want to go watch it, I think Masson put it out there. But Cole, he understood what he had to do going into the season. Actually, why don't we play a little bit of the pitches from yesterday? Because that was the talk of the spring training game yesterday, was how good Cole Irvin looked in his first outing. It's the first outing, but throwing 91, 92 to up to almost 95, 96.
Hit 95. Yeah, he only hit over 95 twice last year and did it here. We'll show you the pitch. Also, just it is 95, but this is the disgusting location to strike the batter out. Take a look. See ya. Watch it again. One more time. Hasta la vista.
And you know what's crazy is that the broadcaster said the exact same thing. He went,
It's just unreal. Yeah. It's unreal. When I was watching that, and that was one of those pitches where you truly felt Cole Irvin was in control. That was something where you're like, oh, Cole Irvin's here to pitch. Like, he's gotten another year in the pitching lab. We saw flashes of this Cole Irvin last year. I think that's what people don't necessarily understand is he was one of those guys that did what I think the Orioles were hoping he would do, but fans had higher expectations because he was brought in. He was kind of the pitching move last year. So fans were like, oh, Cole Irvin's got to be like towards the top. He's got to be one of our aces. And that's, I would love to see him take that step, but I think Cole Irvin is going to take that step this year and really show why the Orioles got him and be that kind of 3-4 pitcher that you can send out there every 5 days and you feel really confident that he's going to go get you a win.
Well, right now, Kevin, with the Orioles situation, they need him to. Tyler Wells and Cole Irvin, the hybrid to be able to go and pitch out of the bullpen and then going to be a starter. Mike Bauman was also Big Mike. Love Big Mike. Shout out Bow. He was a starter, but I don't know if that's going to be his role for this year, right? Because of just how it's set up. But Cole and Tyler did both last year. So that's why we're bringing it up. And they're going to be asked about it. So they're going to be asked to do that this year, especially with Kyle Bradish going on right now.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest thing is they went from, okay, they thought they had Kyle Bradish and John Means to kind of fill out the 5. And then it was Cole Irvin and Tyler Wells. You guys are going to be 6 and 7. You assume you're going to need over the course of 162 games. You're going to need probably 7 to 8 starters. 7 to 8 guys are going to most likely start for you on the mound. But then with those 2 injuries, it was like, okay, this isn't, okay, down the road, you're going to start in the bullpen. If we need you, you come into the rotation. This is, hey, you guys are competing and probably the front runners for the top next 2 rotation spots now until those guys get back whenever that may be. And I think especially so far we've seen it with Cole Irvin, he looks ready. It was reported, and I also want to point this out, this wasn't something that came out of nowhere. This wasn't, oh, wow, Cole Irvin showed up to his first game, and this was, just hype from jitters or something, and he was throwing harder, had more movement. It was reported days before this start that, hey, someone that looks really good this year with extra velo and movement is Cole Irvin, and we're excited to see what he can do. Goes out there, pitches 2 great innings, and, just put on a show. It was one of those things where you saw him pitching, and you were like, that is a confident and scary Cole Irvin.
Essentially, they were 7 deep to begin, with no injuries, right? There were 7 guys, if you want to count Bauman in there, you're 8. But again, I don't know if the role for him is going to be a starter.
No, yeah.
But at this point, this is what you almost like, quote unquote, prepare for, where you have to be prepared for it, where you can have 5 quality starters and then have no one else behind you and just kind of risk that, oh, okay, we're going to get through a full 162 healthy. But that rarely happens. There's going to be injuries, IL stints, whatever it may be. So the fact that you can just slide a Tyler Wells in or slide and improve Cole Irvin in there is such a luxury for them to have. And then you also have these other prospects that maybe over the course of the season, like a Cade Povich, a Chase McDermott, like those guys can come in.
Seth Johnson
exactly
dominated today.
Today was balling. So you still have those guys. So you could say by the end of the season, with maybe the way those guys are pitching, maybe you could be 8 deep or 9 deep or 10 deep. So it's a luxury for him to have. So whenever you get a guy like Means back or a guy like Bradish back, I think you have the opportunity to go out there and perform because you have guys that can fill in and step up when they need to.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to just remember, like you guys are talking about, is the competitive nature. You find out a lot about who you have or what people are made of when things don't go their way. Cole Irvin, last year, for personally, that was embarrassing in the sense of not that what he went out there and didn't pitch well. I don't give a shit about that. Like, I wanted him to do well. What I'm saying is, you got traded and you were the first one domino to be like, you know what, we're sending you down. Yeah. And that's a gut punch. And it was a really tough battle for him, but Cole didn't hang his head. He kept battling and said he would do whatever he needed to do to help the team. It's hard to then, change things during a season because then you're trying to maintain and get by. And then he said, you know what, I'm going to go into the off season. And he studied. He even said, and like shout out even Pitching Ninja, great account on X, talked about how he was able to talk about a cut fastball and how to really get better in the lab and really start to do some great things. So that's what I love. The Orioles have a lot of guys like that. And maybe it goes into the answering this question about the Trevor Bauer callers or preachers that say the Orioles should bring him in. The depth that they have, first off, the Orioles, I think, are surprising people. I thought the pitching so far, spring training, has been very, very good. You talked about Seth Johnson. People forgot about because of the injury, and he's still a ways away, by the way. We're not going to see him in Baltimore to start the season. We might not even see him in Baltimore at all this year, right? Long way to go. But there are guys that they're building up, and you got to let them develop, and it's really cool to see. And the other part for Trevor Bauer, this is just it. With a young, exciting team, do you want to have any type of baggage that comes along with it? Trevor Bauer could go out there and be a Cy Young candidate. He could. Yeah. He also could be a middle of the road pitcher. And then what do you do? But the biggest thing is with one of the most exciting teams. Well, I saw on Instagram, someone said 4 or 7 posts were like the Orioles, right? Yeah. And I think people love watching that. Do you want to change that? And that's a big question.
Also, I will say Barstool Sports posted earlier today, they had Trevor Bauer come in and do a workout against Barstool employees. And today, or I guess probably yesterday, and Marty laced a couple. Marty Mush was getting hits off of him. So I don't know if that's necessarily that was what was crazy is people were like, why are you posting this? Like he was posting it as like he posted his parts where he was like, here's what I'm doing against the Barstool office. And then Marty Mush is posting these videos like another single. And it's like, okay, I don't know if Bauer wanted those ones going out. So that was tough. But I think another part is kind of what you hit on. There's so many guys I think, especially right now, I don't see the Orioles bringing any other pitcher just because they want to see what they have. They're looking at these guys like McDermott, Povich, Johnson, Armbruster, which 3 shutout innings against a very good, I believe, Braves lineup today. I believe that's the game he pitched in. And these are guys that, like you said, Ryan, maybe we're probably not going to see them start the year there, but these are guys that they have high hopes for, that they think that are going to go out there maybe the second half of the year. And if they need them to step up, they can. McDermott's been the one getting a lot of good looks recently. People are very excited about him coming out of camp so far.
And they should. I mean, there's been a lot of exciting things coming out of camp. And we'll dive right back into camp here for a second. But we got to shout out Don here for a second. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Stud.
So, Don, so for anyone that, again, we have this on podcast forms, and we're actually starting to get it a little bit better now. I'm going to keep expanding on the podcast platforms, but you can listen on Spotify and Apple as well. So if you can't watch us, we think you should watch us, though, because we think it's a good time. And visually, when we break down and we have the videos, you really get the full package of content, right? Whether you like it or not. Like when I'm going to try the pants on.
Oh, my
here,
God.
I don't know if I'm going to be here for that one.
Oh, my.
I think that we were going to talk about. But anyway, let me go back to what Don was saying. So for those that are listening, I started up the HVAC equipment at your family's Schwann Road home for your dad's gym. Very cool place. Have you watched the Jackson Holiday videos of his barn/gym? So cool. So
Awesome.
Jackson's Holiday is
so cool.
It's so damn cool. And so to talk about a little bit what Don's referring to, growing up, my dad wanted to have a gym space. And that's, had a basketball court, but really he just wanted to make sure he could get his work in, have a batting cage. Jackson Holiday's thing just it trumps it. No offense, sorry, Calvin, but that thing is at his age and forever, even at his age, I would live there right now year round, no matter what it is.
It's unreal.
Has everyone seen that? And anyone in the
cool.
chat?
It's cool.
And it's in the middle of nowhere. Like that's one of those things where it's like this kid lives and breathes baseball, competition, all that. He wakes up and he was kind of going through like what he does every day. And he's like, yeah. And then, I get bored. So I just like walk through this door and there's a batting cage and there's a basketball court and there's a pickleball court. And he's like, yeah, me and my dad and brothers play every once in a while, like probably once a day, which I will say, if you're bored, I guess a quick pickleball game against Matt Holliday is, I guess that's a little interesting.
He's a unit, by the way.
Mhm.
Beast. Also, another thing for anyone that has kids or want younger ones that are aspiring to be baseball players, love that they love baseball, play other sports. Like Jackson Holliday's an athlete. He likes playing the other sports. And I've talked to more scouts. Their thing is, what else do you play? And it's kind of funny. It's almost taking another turn. For a while, it felt like you had to specialize. People were like, oh, I got to focus. When you're younger, play all the damn sports that you have to, because you learn so much. And again, talked to a scout recently. First question he asked the kid I was working with, that was, what other sports do you play? Not what position you play, not what you do, what other sports do you play? So maybe that's a little bit of insight. And so we'll dive back into the spring training here in a second.
Wait, did someone say spring training?
Oh, hot damn. A couple Ryans and my buddy Cody Carroll. Good kid, Cody Carroll. Not the best. Actually, it's a fantastic freeze frame for him. Man, good old days, man. 91. My favorite spring training jersey that I got was 99, though. That was pretty electric.
Oh, Aaron. Oh, is that why Aaron Judge took it?
It did, yeah.
Wow.
He paid me for it to not wear it during.
You're
Orioles
a trendsetter. You're a trendsetter.
Yeah.
What year was that? I meant to ask.
Having 99 or 91? 91, I think, was 2018 spring training.
Wow. So that was Mounties. That was like he was like 19, like 20.
He was young.
Probably, yeah.
He looks young in that picture.
No, he was maybe just turning 21.
I was trying to remember because he was what, 20? Was he? No, he was 2015 actually. No, he was older.
Yeah, I think I told you guys in the story previously, Kevin. Maybe you didn't hear this, but when Cedric was on, we replayed when my car caught on fire.
Yeah.
I did see a comment: the Winnebago would not catch on fire because we're going to have to make sure the maintenance.
Yeah.
And we'll have to go to Adam's Jeep to make sure it's okay too.
There you go.
But after the car fiasco there, my car caught on fire, Kevin. And then we got up to play the Delmarva Shorebirds where Cedric and Ryan Mountcastle were on the team. And it's snowing. And then we're getting the shit beat out of us because I was on Hagerstown. And then Mountie swings at a ball literally above his head. And I actually did the breakdown last week of saying, what's Mountie's strengths? He can hit the shit out of the ball when it's not anywhere near the strike zone. And he did. He hit a grand slam at a pitch above his eyes.
Unreal.
In the snow. And I'm like, yep.
That power's different. That power's different.
It truly is. Not a lot of people can do that. One guy that we are going to discuss here in the breakdown, Juan Soto, is one of those guys that can do that. All right, let's talk a little bit about some of these young players in spring training that are going on, right? So guys that have gone off to great starts. Kobe Mayo's had some tremendous at-bats. I think, Zach, you wanted to lead this. This like overreaction. You know, my video, I said the Orioles aren't losing a game. They aren't losing a damn game. They might have lost today. But
technically only went 500 today. 1-1. You know? Think about that.
So they won a game again. They've won a game each day of spring training.
Win a game each day, you win the World Series. There you go.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Boom. Mark that down. But I think this is a great time of year. We're I guess now technically at this time 4 total spring training games in to have some little overreactions. I think the first one we did, we kind of just talked about Cole Irvin. I think biggest overreaction we have right now is stud. I think he is going to, at this time,
Cy Young.
Yeah. This is where you look at it and you're like, Cole Irvin is going to be a problem in the MLB this year. Is that the case? I don't know. But after 2 innings of work, we can 100% say he's the next big thing.
Kevin, do you have an overreaction for the crowd, for the audience?
I was going to say the Orioles are going to win the World Series, first of all, as an overreaction just generally. Because, I literally saw less than 1 full inning of spring training, and that was Corbin Burns striking out 2 guys and Adley hitting the homer. So I'm like, all right, I've seen enough. They're winning. That's it. That's all you need to see, right? That's all you need to see. Although I know Jordan Westberg had a heck of a game today. Had a homer and almost had a second one. What he had was a triple. It was he pulled the ball back in or something.
Kevin, known just Orioles hater Kevin Pillar. No matter what he does, he just shows up against us. Doesn't matter what team.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Jordan Westberg hits a home run in the 4th inning, comes up in the 6th inning, puts another one over the fence, but Kevin Pillar goes to rob it. It hits off his glove. He can't catch it and brings it back in. and Westbrook gets a triple.
So again, the overreaction, after one performance like that is okay. Like that's your guy, everyday player, this, that, and the other. But again, we're very early in the spring training process. It's like it's every sport, honestly, right? It's not just baseball where you have one preseason game where it's like, okay, this guy's going to be a stud or that guy. We know the potential's there, but just because they have this one game, and I don't want to try to be like this, sky is falling and I'm raining on the parade.
Yeah, are you shitting me, Kevin?
No. You said the same thing.
Are you kidding me, Kevin?
Zach said the same.
Just wait, I have a negative overreaction next, so it's gonna get everyone going.
No, but I'm just messing with you, Kevin. But you're right. I mean, this is why we're doing it. But no, I'm serious. Get out.
Yeah,
but Zach, what you got?
Next one, actually, Jason called right here. Colton Cowser, the opening day leadoff hitter. Kid's gotten on 4 walks already this spring. Again,
clutch player.
I will say I love early. His comfortability at the plate right now is something we did not see last year. We saw him struggling. It felt like he had a little bit more pressure on him. And I think he even in an interview said, and I quote, "I need to stop thinking so damn much."
Yep.
And I think he's out there playing baseball. And something with Colton Cowser, if you look at his stats, every time he goes to another level, he starts out slow. They took him from single A to double A, started out slow. Is he over his head? All of a sudden takes off, becomes one of the best players at double A, goes to triple A, starts off slow. Is this over his head? Boom, takes off, becomes one of the best prospects in baseball, comes up to the majors, starts off a little slow, gets sent up and down. And now we see, is this where he takes off and he starts doing what Colton Cowser's done over his entire career? And once he gets comfortable, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I love Cowser's ability, and we've talked about this too. And I think everyone's expectation, this is why it literally is one of the gear grinders for me, is when there's a super talented prospect, but then everyone's like, well, replace the guy that's a veteran in the show. And people were talking about replacing, at that time, Cedric, Santander, Hayes.
Yeah. Hayes
is an all-star. Cedric's a former all-star. Santander very well could have been an all-star. So what are you going to do? And then on top of it, he's not going to play every day. So then you have a guy that is talented trying to come up there. He is going to be very tight, and he was very tight. He wasn't comfortable, like he said. And then you're not playing every day. Then you're not swinging at some of the pitches that necessarily that you drive. That's someone's tendency when you get hesitant, is that you sit there and you take a pitch and you go, shit. Like, I let that one go. That's what it seemed like to me with Cowser. I'll break down Colton a little bit more as it goes, but this is why the Orioles didn't want to get rid of him. In spring training, it's early, but he's got a good eye. He's got tremendous pop, and there's so many things that his game can be evolved into. But the Orioles just have a tremendously talented outfield. And I do think Cedric Mullins, a guy that don't sleep on Ceddy, man. He had a lot of stuff he was dealing with last year, specifically injury-wise.
Yeah.
But that dude impacts the game so much. He's probably the most impactful player on the Orioles roster outside of the Gunnar and Adley Rutschman scenario right now. If you actually think about a position player, that's just how much he can impact a team. So we'll dive into a lot of it as we keep going. And I see some names. I mean, Heston Kjerstad, big fan of Heston. I know Joe is too. The Razorbacks unite. But
I was going to say, Joe already put Heston Kjerstad Rookie of the Year. You know it.
Stowers.
Stowers got a home run today. Is he back? Is he back?
Dude, I love Stowie, man. I really do. He's such a good dude. And another guy where you're not playing every day, and that makes it tough. And Jason had a comment here
about Colton Cowser. I think it is something he brought his hands down this year. So that also could be something maybe allows him for better pitch selection, have to, he can wait a little bit longer.
Sometimes it's just technicalities. Like things that just, it's a little difference here or there. You start on your back foot a little more, you follow, like it's a little technical. Like, do you remember stuff like that, Ryan? You changing stuff throughout your career like that?
Fuck yeah. All the time. And it's still, some stuff didn't even work, but it's crazy. You'll go back and look at film, and you'll sometimes think in your mind when you're making an adjustment that it feels like it's this massive change. And it literally could be, I can take it out of Rocco's book. It can be like this much. You know what I mean? But it's true. It's going to be your hand placement. So I'm going to try to move for a second. I'll go to the board here in a minute. But like, imagine your hands are here, right? And all of a sudden, you had your hands hide maybe a little bit behind your head. And when you go to swing, your shoulder then has to fly off. Or your hands are down here. Like it's just a very tiny movement that's different, but all of it is just to try to have you be a little bit freer and have your hands go from your ready position right to the baseball. Like that's the ultimate goal, is how can you get essentially from point A to point B consistently over time. And sometimes when you go through the habit of a 162 game season, you're going to sit there and you might think that you're doing the same thing over and over again, but you might just change it a hair and you think, well, wait a minute, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And you go back and look and go, I can see the difference. The everyday person might not be able to, but we talked about Cole Irvin realized that he was doing things wrong. Colton Cowser, another guy. Okay, I need to try to change things up because I don't feel like the same hitter that I was hoping to be. A couple other things I wanted to touch on with some people that were questions. Kobe Mayo needs to be on the team. Mild overreaction. I love Kobe. I think he's one of those guys. He's one of those untouchables with Sam Basayo as well and Jackson Holiday. If you want to see a light show for BP, it's watching Kobe take BP. It is ridiculous. I don't see it playing out. And again, with these young prospects, you want them to play. So I saw something saying about, well, what about with Urias? You move him around. Urias is going to be that utility guy. He's not going to play every day. So that's his role.
And that's why it takes a certain player to be good at that. You know, how many guys do we see that are everyday players and then they either get traded to a team mid-year or they get, sign an off-season contract to go be more of a utility guy. They don't get everyday at bats and you see their numbers completely deteriorate as a result of that. So it is one of the most underrated positions in baseball. Is if you have a good utility batter that can come off the bench at a moment's notice and produce at a high rate, that is as valuable as anything in the majors.
Yeah, a guy that just comes to my mind was Ben Zobrist on the Cubs.
Oh my God.
And the Rays. The dude just played any position.
Won a World Series MVP because of it.
Yeah, had the big hit down the line and World Series champion. Some other comments real quickly here. Where was I going with this? Is it unrealistic to think the Orioles can win 110 games? Well,
okay, Hewitt. It's my old college roommate. Shout out Hewitt. Yeah, he's a Yankees fan though.
Okay.
Sadly.
All right. So you know what? No more Alex time on the screen here. And that ends this segment.
Yeah.
The last one, how about with Westbrook thought at third? Look, I think Westy, that's why they gave up Joey Ortiz. They made a choice, and last year they made a choice of the two players. Who did they want to keep? Who did they want to give the opportunity to? Sorry, at that time, opportunity. Westy was the guy they wanted to give the opportunity to. He's faster than people expect. He's got popped all the field. I actually have that break down now out if you guys want to go check that out. I think what do we have now with the Orioles? We have
Mountcastle. We have Mountcastle, Burns, Grayson. The Grayson one I've watched like 3 times. It gets me fired up each time, I will say. Did we say Westberg already? So Grayson, Corbin, Mountcastle, Westberg, and who am I forgetting?
Gunner.
Gunner.
That's right.
The Gun Show. One. We have 5.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have some more upcoming here. And Don, again, what's the occasion here?
Oh, God, I love you, Don. I don't have any more funny pictures of Ryan in spring training to put up for this one. But
was he laughing about the pants idea? And how about for the audience here? And again, Ryan Ripken Show here Mondays and Thursdays live. Should I also get the MLB pants? Because I feel like I can't give a proper analysis on how good or bad they are if I don't try them on myself.
You walk around opening day with the pants.
Actually, real quick, I will say, pants a lot less see-through on the broadcast than I thought. I hate saying I was disappointed that they weren't see-through, but because it just sounds weird. But I turned on, I was like, oh, this just looks like a regular baseball game. I was thinking this was going to be a bigger issue than it really was.
I mean, well,
only takes one mistake though to make it a big issue.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, maybe this will be for story time, but let's actually talk about Don's comment here for a second. We are talking Orioles in February. Man, let's go. So happy for the young guys in the city. We deserve it. Baltimore is a baseball town. I think people do forget that. Obviously, everyone loves the Ravens and everyone loves Locked On with Kevin Ostreicher as well.
That's my government name.
Yep. It is. And rightfully so. But this is an exciting time for Baltimore sports. And I think that people are understanding that this Orioles team talked about it over and over again, winning so damn hard. And they finally have a young nucleus that people are very excited about. Joe's adamant, Zach, about you wearing them on your head.
Yeah, I will do that as long as it's before Ryan wears them on his.
That's a
that's my
good boundary to have. Good boundary to have.
This won't be the second time. As long as it's not the second time they're worn on the show, I'll put them on my head.
Yeah, you know what I was should I do a little story time about how people were wondering, I had asked the question, do players actually not wear anything under their pants?
Well, yeah, I think we're too deep in the story time not to do it now.
You can't tease it, then not tell.
Okay, so there were so many ways. You guys understand how superstitious audience out there, everyone listening. Has anyone ever heard that baseball players are very superstitious? Like we do some weird things, whether it's the way you put your socks on, what you eat before the game, if you have to take a shower, if it's a certain stretch routine or ritual, maybe it's what you do or don't wear during a baseball game, and you will do anything to get out of a slump. And I mean anything. We're to keep it kind of PG here, 13. For this case, we'll save the other stories for Rip After Dark. Well, that'll be another, and maybe that'll be a part of the Discord segment that we have a Discord group, or maybe that'll be a part of the subscription content that we're eventually going to get out here for more that want more behind the scenes of what actually goes on in the studio with these guys. So for me, I was having a rough end to the season in 2018, bringing up that year. But the last game of the year, and my teammate and I said, you know what? We just got to let go. We got to be free. And I mean, literally, we were free. We did not wear anything underneath and said, this is going to be a great game. We're getting at least 2 hits. That was our guarantee for both of us. First at bat, hit a double down the line. I know where the video is. Now you can watch that video and go, wait a minute. Ryan's not wearing any sliders.
Now you know behind the scenes.
You can't see it. But I got a double. And then later in the game, I had to slide. That hurt like a bitch. But 2 hits, 2 for 5. We lost in extra innings to the Phillies low A team. Fun fact. But it worked. And baseball players will do that. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen as much with the see-through pants, but you know what?
Let's hope
baseball players are crazy, to say the least. So that's my little bit of story time. And Rip After Dark, I think, will be coming soon.
Oh, yeah. That's what everyone's excited for.
Yeah, people are ready. People want that.
I don't know if they're ready, but they think they're ready.
I think they want that in the Roast Rocco channel. Those are 2 things that the people want.
Yeah, so a couple things we covered so far today besides Orioles baseball. Rocco and I are going to spring training. We will have a Roast Rocco channel eventually. A Rip After Dark is in the works. And what else were we going to do? Oh, besides that, we'll then eventually do a breakdown of what's kind of going on with Juan Soto. And then actually, I love it. I will break down Jorge Mateo in the future. I'll break down Cole Irvin. I actually was working on Jorge Mateo's before we started the show. Am I missing anything else from spring training at the moment?
Oh, last overreaction. Jackson Holiday is horrible at baseball. 4 strikeouts already. I mean, gosh, just trade him.
It's over.
And that concludes our overreactions period. Trade Jackson Holiday.
Well, you heard it here first.
Yeah, I saw someone bring up he got another strikeout earlier today. I think he's up to 4. But
so okay, let's touch on that for a second, real quickly. Then we'll do the breakdown. Yeah. I think that the people's expectation for Jackson, it's a lot. Obviously, he's a stud, But I do think personally, it was always going to be an uphill battle. Even for right now, he could turn it on. But I think he feels he has to be perfect too. I know he's not going to say that, but everyone's watching and we're seeing the depth. I mean, he just doesn't have a lot of games at AAA. Love the talent, but if he gets off to a slow start, then it's going to look like he might not be the one breaking with the team right now. Is he possibly going to be the generational talent that's going to be the 10, 12-time All-Star that people expect he can be? Absolutely. It doesn't change a damn thing. But spring training also is so damn hard, guys. Some guys are the best spring training players of all times, and some guys just can't figure it out. And spring training doesn't matter for some people. Adley Rutschman hit a home run the first at bat. If Adley went 0 for 120, I said 108 in the video I did, don't matter. He does not want to go 108. Believe me. It doesn't feel good. I think my worst I went was 0 for 35 on a side note, and I was not in a good
in spring training.
No, just in
those games counted.
Yeah, those games actually counted. So that sucked, Kevin.
Yeah.
But in general, spring training guys can feel better and you can be more relaxed. But regardless of it, Adley's positions just to get ready.
Well, did you like spring training in general?
Oh, absolutely. The thing that was hard was if you really didn't know what your role was going to be. I think the minor leagues was even harder. If you're one of those fringe guys, you didn't know what was going to happen. That's where it kind of stands. When you're kind of on the cusp, or you know where you stand in the organization, that you're a high prospect and your time's coming, you feel a little bit better. But where the stress comes in is where the undefined roles. And we're looking at a guy like, hey, like, Ryan McKenna is a pro now. He's used to it. He's going to deal with everything. But his spot's to be determined this year, right? So there's that uncertainty as a player that you got to sit there and go, how do I block that out?
Right.
How do I not care? But, we're talking about these other guys, like, I see Don mentioning with Adam Jones. Like, Adam Jones, he's going to be on the team. Nick Markakis on the team, right? It's those other guys that are fighting. Those other, who's going to be the last guy in the bullpen? Who's possibly going to be that extra outfielder? Like, those are the spots where they might have an idea going into spring training, but can you play yourself into that spot is the other thought or question. All right, why don't I get ready to do this? And hey, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. We do this every Monday and Thursday, but this segment coming up is called Know Your Foe. I'm going to actually break down the Yankees' newly acquired superstar Juan Soto, and Juan and I were actually teammates with the Washington Nationals. The dude's a stud. Watching it, I just get reminded of just how damn good he is, and how much, like, I know O's fans might not love this. I love when the Yanks and O's are good. I think it is so good for the game of baseball, and I think we're about to see that again in 2024. So let me get set up, and while I'm getting set up, Kevin, you take over.
Yeah, this is the segment where I get to entertain. I want to use it by shouting out the Discord. We've kind of been mentioning it here and there, but just what the Discord is, if you're already in there, thank you for joining that. But it's a place for Baltimore sports fans, or just, if you're not a Baltimore sports fan, you want to hop in there, talk baseball, talk football. We're going to get a Roast Rocco channel in here eventually, I think. Maybe get some tiers going on. If I can find a way to put the link in the description, I will. But it's an exciting time. I mean, the city's buzzing right now. The Orioles, they're a young team, and their window's just starting too. Like, this is not do or die. This is not a World Series or bust year for them. They have years and years and years. They've positioned themselves with these prospects, and now they're making moves for guys like Corbin Burns to essentially accelerate a little bit. But for we talked about it. They're deep everywhere. They're deep in the outfield. They're deep in the infield. Pitching, they have a lot of guys. Both, at the bullpen, we can talk about it, but especially at the starter positions there. I think for what they have right now, you could afford to go out there and get a Corbin Burns because, for a guy like DL Hall, a lot of people were really excited for him in Baltimore. But I think for him, it's like, well, where was his role? It's like what Ryan was talking about. Where is his role there? On the infield, you still have a Westberg. You still have a Connor Norby there. So where does a guy fill in? And are you blocking guys? If you go out there and you sign a Montgomery, you sign a Blake Snell, are you blocking guys? It certainly helps your chances of winning, right? It helps your chances of winning this year. But it's almost in any sport where you want to figure out the balance between your young pieces and your veterans. And I think in baseball, where you just, it's a minor league system where you have AAA and AA and single A and this and that and the other. It's to a different level in baseball because of the fact that you have so many guys, and obviously on a baseball diamond, right, you can only have 4 infielders, 3 outfielders, the catcher and the pitcher, plus, the DH when you can. So for me, I think the Orioles are in a good spot, but do we maybe see it the trade deadline where it's not necessarily now, but you have a better idea in July, midseason, of maybe what this guy can be and what that guy can be. So in terms of signing veterans, we talked about it on the show. I feel like Baltimore could maybe be more active towards the trade deadline. And we're going to talk about it here in a second, but one guy that recently got traded from the Padres to the Yankees, Juan Soto, and it's going to be big because for Baltimore, going up against a guy like that, as much as they're going to, you're going to have to figure them out, and we're going to break it down here for you soon.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, too bright on that one.
Yeah, that one's bright.
Just turn it down a hair for me. A little bit lower. That is one epic glare for this Monday afternoon. I'm still trying to figure out how to get the body going right now. Maybe, oh, it's that. Oh, well, you know what? Let's just turn off the sun.
I like that idea. I like that idea.
Perfect. All right. So this segment is going to be Know Your Foe. So if you guys can hear me okay, I know the sound's different just because of the fact that we have these really good mics, by the way, and we have these lavaliers, so we're giving them a go, but it's going to be okay. But Know Your Foe, Juan Soto coming to the American League East is actually really exciting for baseball. It's really fun because of the fact that you have another superstar. And I'm going to show you why, just how talented Juan Soto is. And to be honest, there's a reason the Yankees went to go get him, because he can do so many good things. So why don't we talk about why Soto, I think, to me, is a top 5 hitter? Well, first off, everyone thought he had a down year. He got traded the year before. Obviously, things didn't go well in San Diego. And this past year, he still had a OPS over 930, 35 jacks, 109 RBIs. But it's Soto's ability to do damage in the zone, which is so damn impressive, and it does not matter the count. So let's go through this so far. 3-2 count, Charlie Morton. Watch where this pitch is, and I'm going to explain how this kind of happened. But Juan Soto's bat speed and his ability to drive the ball anywhere is quite ridiculous. So let's roll the clip. So this pitch is going to be on the outside corner here as we're watching it. Soto, because he has such quick hands and he has such great rotation in his hips, this ball he's on time. And you might think, is it going to go to center? Is it going to go to left? No. This ball is going out to right center. And I mean, way gone. And so that's just one example of how his power is. And you're probably wondering, well, wait a minute, you should try to go with the baseball, right, Ryan? Well, yes, if you're a little bit later, you are going to be, if you're still on the baseball, yeah, you're going to drive it to left field. But Juan was on time. His bat stayed through the zone for a long period of time. That ball is launched, okay? Here's another one. Again, look at the count here, by the way. Juan Soto had 9 home runs last year with 2 strikes. That was second most on the team, only behind Manny Machado, one of the best players, obviously, still in Major League Baseball. So 1-2 count, you're going to see the pitch again away. But because Soto's a little bit later, this ball's not going to go out to right, which we just saw. This is going to be absolutely annihilated to center field. And again, that's not a bad pitch location, but Juan Soto is so ridiculously good at doing damage on pitches in the zone. And I know a lot of people are saying Major League hitters, all hitters like doing damage in the zone. Juan makes you pay. Juan makes you pay more than almost any other hitter I can watch. And actually, Aaron Judge does the same thing quite often. Here's an example. Another 2-strike count. 1-2. Slider's going to be in. Soto is so hard to put away with 2 strikes. Yes, he struck out 29 times, but he walked 132. It's just, he is going to battle no matter what, but he can also do a lot of damage. You're going to see a hanging slider, unfortunately, for Evan Phillips, former teammate and former Baltimore Oriole. Slider down and in, and Soto, he ain't going to miss it. That's not a bad pitch, but that's just an even better swing. And Phillips' slider, by the way, is nasty. It was not fun phase. It's like a gyro ball. I don't even know how I explained it. This one gets me giddy watching this, because this is against the Tigers. This ball, timeout, is up and away. And we understand you can have a lot of power to all parts of the field. Then there's Juan Soto power to left center, which this ball, if you watch it in Detroit, it's not an easy place to hit. That ball is in the second row. Oh, no. Medic. What'd I do? There we go. Sorry, that ball's in the second row. If I can go back to it real quickly. Up here. And to have that much power, again, on a pitch in the zone, he does not miss those pitches. And that's the scary thing with Juan Soto. But he can still hit pitches out of the zone, by the way, and still against very good hitters. I would be so mad if I was a pitcher. And it's Zach Gallen with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Tremendous year for him. He's going to throw a backup slider, curveball outside here off the plate. And Juan Soto is going to hit this for a double to right center. Like, that is not a bad pitch. That's off the plate, as you can see. But Juan stays on the ball so well, shoots it to right center, and there you go. He's got another extra base hit. The game is very easy for him at times. This one is another example of Juan's a little bit later on his timing. This is the ball's going to go out to left field. Again, slider away. Juan, great bat control. Homer, gone. And keep in mind, he's 25 years old this year. He just finished his age 24 season. Here's another example of he actually ranks in the 99th percentile in hard hit balls. So in layman's terms, he hits the ball harder than any other player in Major League Baseball consistently. That's what he does. Watch how fast this ball comes off the bat here on a hanging slider. That ball gets to the center field wall in probably 2 or 3 seconds. It's truly impressive, and this is why his hands are so quick. You can't beat him with the sliders away. You can't beat him with the pitches out over the plate. Oh, so I'll try to bust him in with a 1-2 fastball, right? That's your goal? Well, guess what? He's going to shoot this ball right down the line. Again, that's a really, really well-located pitch by Mike Clevenger. But Juan is able to get his bat to the baseball as quick as anybody. And shout out Gavin Sheets, another Baltimore guy, making the play out there. And this is a graph I wanted to show you courtesy of Baseball Savant. I'm actually going to show more of these with the Orioles players so people can get more of the context of what's going on. So right now you're seeing a lot of blue. And you might think, well, hey, blue means not good, Ryan. Well, actually, this is on Juan Soto's whiff percentage. That means the amount of times he is missing the ball in the strike zone. The entire strike zone is blue. So that means when Juan Soto gets a pitch in the zone, he's not missing it. Yeah, he might not get a hit every time, but more times than not, he is doing extreme damage. Now, if you are going to get Juan out, obviously, if you look down below here, he will chase a little bit. He actually is a better high ball hitter than he is a low ball hitter. So as we see some of the examples coming up here, I wanted to show this graph. It just is mesmerizing to me. But here's David Robinson. Here's one of the examples of actually a high fastball, but the pitch is off the plate. And Robertson, great pitcher, great location. I mean, Soto, it's close enough where he feels like he has to swing. And if you look, Soto, he's going to ask right now, he's going to go, hey, is that a strike? Was that there? And then I'm just going to say, no, that's off the plate. Or he might be, you know what, for you, Soto, that's a strike today, depending on how the conversation goes. But he is very in tune with his strike zone and where pitches are. Let's keep moving right here. This is disgusting by Logan Webb. If you really want to get Soto, a changeup is probably the best pitch to get him on. And honestly, a changeup might be the best pitch to have if you're a guy that can throw a really good fastball. That's why Grayson Rodriguez has a great one. Logan Webb's right here looks like it, and that thing dies. Alcantara, same thing. Disgusting. That is the grossest. That might be one of the grossest changeups in Major League Baseball. And maybe one day I'll break down his stuff because it's truly electrifying. But unfortunately, the Marlins don't get the attention because they're kind of the Marlins right now. Okay. Again, chasing away, low and away. Mackenzie Gore, slider away. All part of it. If you're going to get Soto in, you got to get that cutter slider motion going towards that back knee and low. He likes the ball elevated. A lot of the left-handed hitters want a ball in that range where they can try to get their bat to it. In this case, ball keeps running, great cutter. And then for those cases, this is one of the rare ones I actually saw of Juan missing a high fastball. This was against Grayson Rodriguez. This is why Grayson Rodriguez has the ability to be one of the best, is because his fastball is elite. It's epic. Grayson Rodriguez, fastball high and in, great location. Juan can't catch up with it, right? So just to give it, this is the last one. This is actually just to show you just how great Juan is. This is a home where he's going to hit on another 2-strike count. And he's going to not miss this at all. Hanging slider. And that ball is launched. And to me, it's an effortless swing. And these balls aren't barely getting out, by the way. These balls are traveling further and further. Juan has a chance to put up 40, 50 home runs if he's playing at Yankee Stadium, if I'm being completely honest. But what's going to make him so dangerous is having the other guy, Aaron Judge, in the lineup. And again, look, I know people don't like the Yankees in Baltimore. I completely understand. But the game of baseball is better when the Orioles and Yankees have that rivalry. Growing up for me, it was the Yankees and Orioles having those moments. And Juan Soto is playing for that contract. And I have full expectation that we're going to see the Juan Soto that was last year, but I think we're going to see even a better version. He's always wanted to have the spotlight. He's going to have that opportunity. As long as he doesn't dive in spring training anymore, the Yankees are going to have one of the most toughest, arguably to me, Judge and Soto are probably the best 1-2 punch. And I know maybe down the road, people will say that about Adley and Gunnar moving forward. But for right now, Juan Soto is going to be fun to watch playing in the Bronx and coming to Camden Yards. Whew. All right. I think let's go back to Kevin.
Yeah. That's crazy. I think that the AL East this year, it's going to be another wild year. And the Yankees resetting with Soto is him and Judge in the same lineup. I don't really want to imagine it, but here we are. I think, I don't know, but the Orioles what I want to see, I'm curious to see the Burns versus Soto splits at the end of the season. and how it goes for those two guys. It's best on best essentially. So by the end of the year, look, Burns is going to have his wins, Soto's going to have his, but I don't know what it's going to be, but I think the Orioles have an opportunity here to improve on what they had last year, which again, they had one heck of a year last year.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting.
And, I just like to do this, and man, my hair got all over the place here. But this is the cool part of it. And the star power, that's what I kind of miss or bringing up. For the longest time, you felt like it was just so Yankee dominant as far as over the years. The Yankees would bring some guys in. And then even Aaron Judge's magical season, the Orioles have those guys now. And then you have Corbin Burns, which, again, the Orioles haven't had, quote unquote, like an high-end ace since Mike Mussina back early on. And I know Chris Tillman had some great years with the Orioles, obviously, but it's a different caliber as far as where they're being compared to. Those matchups are going to be epic. Corbin Burns with his cutter versus Juan Soto is going to be must watch. And I do think that you're going to see some really great at bats, but that's what I want to try to do. And actually, when the Orioles are going to face some teams, some of the top pitchers, like with Garrett Cole coming in, it's not just going to be the Yankees, but just given the example since we're talking about them, we're going to break that down a little bit because why not break down what makes those guys good and what also these Baltimore Orioles and this young team that has no fear and doesn't give a shit how they can go out there and win games.
I think it also just makes it more enjoyable to watch when you know what to look for and you know what to be excited about. Like talking about, okay, you need to have a good change up against a guy like Juan Soto to keep him off balance. Then while you're watching Grayson Rodriguez face Juan Soto, you have that little bit more knowledge of what's going on in between the ears of both players. Juan Soto's saying, I'm not going to expand the zone. And Grayson Rodriguez is saying how do I play on the corners, get him to take a pitch that's a strike, and then I can try to, because once you get him to 1 strike, 2 strike, your odds of getting Juan Soto go through the roof because with no strikes, Juan Soto's going to sit there and wait for his pitch. And me and Rip were talking about this beforehand. Juan Soto's one of those guys where you don't get 2 chances at an at-bat. If you make 1 mistake, it's in the stands.
Yeah, and again, with 2 strikes.
Yeah.
And that's the difference of it, of doing damage when you're in hitter or pitchers counts. And in this case for the Orioles, it's going to be the battle of, can you put these hitters away? Can you not give in? And then for the Yankees is, can your superstars come up in big ways? Can you continue to scratch and claw? And actually, ironically, the Orioles did a great job of that with their backs against the wall last year, all those comeback victories. Same thing's going to have to be said. And one thing, Don, I appreciate, thank you for the compliment. The Yankees better hit. Their pitching looks suspect. I'll tell you what, there are some questions, but I think people are sleeping on Nestor Cortez. I think that I don't understand why he got so much flack because he was hurt last year. I think he's going to be good. And the X factor is going to be what's Carlos Rodon going to be? And if he's good, then this is going to be a really interesting battle between 2 teams that have aspirations to go to the World Series. Now for the Orioles, though, their question marks are going to be, are you going to have your rotation filled out? So I'd say the Yankees is going to be health. The Orioles, it's health, but also
what do you have?
Are you good? Yeah, what do you have? Exactly. Is that good answer?
Thank you. That's what I try to do. After talking to you about baseball for a little bit, I pick up a thing or two. But I will say, I was just thinking about this while we were, specifically when we watched the Grayson Rodriguez and Juan Soto. It just gets me so excited that we're talking about baseball and that baseball is like here, because there's just so much fun stuff that we're going to be able to do with everything going on. Stuff like this with breakdowns. Really, it just gets me fired up that we're talking Orioles baseball. Not only that, good Orioles baseball, exciting Orioles baseball.
It's what we've all been waiting for. You know what? And I can't wait to get to Florida. I cannot wait to get down there. Rocco and I are heading down tomorrow for with Fox 45 here in Baltimore. We have the Rip and Rock podcast where we will do daily episodes and have the behind the scenes and content. Obviously, we'll have the Ryan Ripken Show, but I will not be here on Thursday. So we will have, unfortunately,
Tom Brady stepping in for Drew Bledsoe again.
Oh, goodness. Kevin, I'm sorry. You got to deal with him.
It's all right. I'm Belichick.
He's Belichick.
Well, I don't know. I just need Brad here because I feel so much better when Brad's actually on here.
He needs Robert Kraft.
He's called Brad Robert Kraft.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Maybe on that note, hey, if we're going to wrap up here, but if you're new to the show, hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to have more breakdowns, and I do hear you on who you guys want to see in the future. Let me know. We're on Twitter, X. Yeah. Are we going to call it Twitter or X?
I call it Twitter.
I hate when people call it.
Well, it's called X. Okay. Well, we have it's at Kevin Ostrike.
Chaos Striker 34.
At Zach Bollinger 18.
18. Yeah. Oh, we got the 18 this part. Oh, he's good.
And then just at Ryan Ripken to make it simple for everyone. But follow us there. We'll have a lot more content coming out. Obviously, we're growing more on the Instagram and TikTok, Facebook, but we are on podcasts. If you can't listen to this or watch us, you can listen on Apple, Spotify. We have more coming out, but make sure you watch and follow what Rocco and I are up to. I got to go get ready, pack, and get ready for what is going to be a whirlwind of excitement down in Sarasota. All right, guys. Yeah. For everyone here, Kevin.
I'll give his outro.
Zach.
Appreciate everyone tuning in, seeing people like the breakdown. So I like watching the breakdowns.
Thanks, Zach. I'm glad you liked the breakdowns.
I did too.
Don't steal my line.
I
already said it.
Well, I can enjoy it too.
Well, we got a lot of great.
You can't gatekeep enjoying.
Oh my goodness! All right, we got a lot of great kids here, and as always, guys, have a day, have a night, and we will be back on Thursday for another episode of the Ryan Ripken Show, and we will talk soon.
Peace.
Peace out. Can't gatekeep.